So hello everyone and welcome to the Education in Finland Part 2 presentation. This is organized by Finlandia Foundation National, the leading independent organization fostering Finnish culture and Finland here in the United States. We are pleased to continue our cooperation with the Embassy of Finland in the US. Today's session is about studying in Finland. This will cover practical aspects such as application process, requirements and financial considerations, and where and how to find information. Again, a recorded version of this webinar will be available at a later date. And also, if you want to receive this presentation, please send our office an email to request it. Our email address is office@finlandiafoundation.org. The questions from the audience can be submitted throughout the presentation using the Q&A function. You will see that on top of your screen. Please don't use the chat function because then we have to follow two different areas, but Q&A function on top of your screen throughout the presentation. And again, we will answer the questions at the end of the presentation. And please use this opportunity because this is a very good situation to have Ilkka Turunen join us, and he has done a lot of research in this matter. So please use the opportunity for the Q&A. Our operations manager, Maria Voltaine, will be coordinating the Q&A segment. So to the introductions. First, my name is Anne-Marie Pastor, and I'm the president of Finlandia Foundation National. With any questions about the activities of Finlandia Foundation National, don't hesitate to connect with me directly. My direct contact information can be found in the numerous emails we have been sending, or you can connect through our office. And again, that email is office@finlandiafoundation.org. Okay, let's get on with the program today. Ilkka Turunen is our presenter again. He is the senior specialist covering higher education and science policy at the Embassy of Finland in Washington, D.C. He has extensive experience in education research and innovation policy at all levels of decision making. Welcome again to share your knowledge with us. And Ilkka, here I now turn this to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I would like to start by thanking everyone who took part in the first part of the webinar for the lively discussion and good questions. They helped me prepare for today's presentation. Today I look at the Finnish universities from the perspective of a foreign citizen who is considering completing a university degree in Finland. Therefore, I focus on English language degree program and information, regulations and guidelines for setting in Finland. I have many slides with a lot of text. As I prepared my presentation, I thought that the material I presented would have a later use. The slides have links to get a deeper insight into the information available. It's not my intention to go through all things on the slides in detail. I will pick up more important ones from the slides. So with these words, we can look at this slide. The main point, I think, is that Finland has a regionally comprehensive university network. There are also universities in sparsely populated areas, although a quarter of the country's population lives in Helsinki metropolitan area. There are over 25,000 universities in the world. Most Finnish comprehensive science universities belong to the top 600 globally. This means that they belong to the best 2.5% in the world. In learning outcomes, students in Finnish higher education institution rank #1 in scientific literacy globally. It is fair to say, therefore, you can get a good education in every Finnish university. Next slide, please. There are two different sectors of higher education in Finland. Universities provide academic learning based on scientific research, whereas universities of applied sciences offer more professionally oriented higher education degrees geared toward working life. According to the degrees of universities have basically three missions: education, research, and education based on that. But in the Finnish system, there is always the third mission, which is how to serve the surrounding society, have a social and economic impact. And that goes also to universities of applied science. When I compare the system, Finnish system, the system here in the United States, that the focus or the background or the missions is similar than as we have in the United States, for example, in land grant universities or public flagship universities in all states in the United States. So this is basically the ideology behind the Finnish higher education system. And I also want to stress that universities and universities of applied sciences have strong autonomy in Finland. Next slide, please. Last time I already explained the logic of this Finnish system, but at this time I just want to stress that for higher education institutions, the flexibility of the system means i.e., or for example, possibility of moving from University of Applied Sciences to university and vice versa. For example, a master degree from University of Applied Sciences gives the qualification to complete a doctoral degree at universities. And after completing a bachelor degree at the university, if you wish, you can transfer to complete a master degree at the University Applied Science. Important is that the binding decisions are not expected to be made at early stage. Next, please. Like Japan, South Korea, and Germany, Finland is an engineering country. The largest field of study at the University of Applied Sciences, on the other hand, is healthcare and well-being, as all nurses and large part of the social sector workers are trained in them. Next, please. This image comes from the 2017 publication on international strategy for universities and universities of applied sciences. In my mind, at that time, there was at least some change in the mindset. The strategy places a stronger emphasis on participation in solving the grand challenges facing humanity. The Finnish higher education institution want to share the best expertise and knowledge in the world, implement the expertise and knowledge of other countries. And we really want to make Finland an attractive and welcoming study, research and work environment for foreigners. And this, we know that this requires a development of different kind of services for families. And that is now the emphasis in Finnish higher education system. Next slide, please. I was wondering why to come to Finland. Finland is one of the constant top countries in global rankings of innovation, technology, and education. And when we tell the story of Finland, we tend to emphasize things or dimensions such as Finland is the happiest country in the world, most employer-friendly working hours, greenest country in the world, third in global gender gap report, and there are paid maternity and paternity leave, etc. What I also want to emphasize now is that the vast majority of Finnish companies, especially in the field of IT, have adopted English as a working language. And Finland is a good destination for women and families. Gender equality is high level, and social security and healthcare are the key components of the Finnish success story. So if I tell the Finnish story, for me, I want to stress that it's a strong pioneering in research, it's a reformer, there is constant development, the education system. We want to experiment and we want to offer solutions and want actively attract investment from foreign countries. Next, please. I think that when I prepared my presentation, I went through the different type of web page and tried to find relevant information for foreigners. And I found out that nowadays there are actually quite good web pages. All the universities and universities of applied sciences, National Agency for Education, but especially study in Finland. That is very handy because you can, if you open up the web page, you can find paths or roads what suits your interest, serves your interest, and that is very good. And this is important. And the other thing that is very important that the Finland's higher education system offers more than 400 English-taught bachelor and master degree programs in 13 universities and 22 universities applied sciences. And that provision is related to size of the higher education system because perhaps the highest in the world. I know that in the Netherlands, in the other Nordic countries, there is a lot of provision, but Finland is developing very rapidly. And if you look at the statistic, you can see the continuous increase of international students in Finland. Nowadays, if my memory serves me well, it must be already 24,000 international students, and the percentage is now closing 9%, and which is quite good. Next, please. This is I tried to create the path to studies in Finland. First, you have to choose your program and study invoice the best choice. And then you have to look closely at the admission information because there are different ways to apply. And now actually you look at the slides, you find out that we are closing the end of the application period, studies starting in this next autumn. So we are actually discussing autumn 22. Next, please. There are two ways, two models for application. There is a joint application or separate application. And the main point in joint application is that you can apply to 6 study programs with 1 application form. These 6 options may include degree programs from one or different higher education institutions. So that at this phase, you can look at the different provisions from different universities and universities applied sciences. But what is important that you must prioritize those, which is the most important for you. But if you apply through separate application, you apply directly to higher education institutions study programs. And separate application forms are filled separately for each study program or institution. So I would prefer joint application. And there are 2, for foreigners, there are 2 joint applications per year, 1 in spring and 1 in autumn. So next autumn, you can start to apply for the year 2022. Next, please. And this is if you apply, you must be patient because the universities you have applied will inform all applicants of their admissions. You will receive, if you have been successful in your application, you will receive an official letter of acceptance. And which is also important in Finland, that you have to note that you can only accept one study place per term. You might have 6 possibilities, but you can only choose one. And the reason for that is that a couple of years ago, there was a bottleneck because the best students, they want to keep 4 or 5 study places. And then there was not study place for everyone. And also, when you plan your studies in Finland, you have to look at the web pages and scrutinize the information concerning student permits and student housing and insurance policies, and also means of support. Next, please. I think that the main information in this slide is that in most cases you are eligible to apply for bachelor's level studies in Finland if you are eligible to apply for higher education in your home country, that is to say United States. That is the most important. I scrutinized the available information, and there is one thing that it's not worry me, but it's something you have to know, that if you have only short cycle degree from here in United States, you have to contact the universities, because the recognition of prior learning or the recognition of diplomas, you have to contact universities, because the bachelor degree programs, for example, in Finland are from 3 to 4 years, and short cycle programs here in the United States can be, for example, only two years. Next, please. And this is about the universities, and the big differences between university applied sciences, universities, research universities. In order to be eligible to apply for universities of applied sciences for master degree level, you must have completed a suitable bachelor level degree or other higher education degree, and have a minimum of 2 years of work experience. And that is the main difference. If you want to have a master degree from University of Applied Sciences, you must have a minimum of 2 years of work experience. And that used to be 3 years, but we reformed that, and that is now 2 years. So that is the main difference if you want to apply master level studies in these two branches of the Finnish higher education system. Next, please. Language matters, but I wouldn't be worried if you come from United States to Finland, because you always have the level that are needed in Finnish universities. But if you want to learn Finnish, and there are Finnish courses in universities, and if you are admitted to University of Finland, you can usually include Finnish or Swedish language studies in your degree. And you can ask your hosting Finnish universities for details. But if you have some knowledge in Finland, that would perhaps be too demanding to have the whole degree in Finnish, but that is possible always if you want. So that is one option for you. Next, please. If you are from outside the EU, ETA area, you are required to pay tuition fees. At the moment, for bachelor and master level programs, the tuition fee depends on the university and degree program, varying between 4,000 euro and 18,000 euro, which is, I would say, approximately very close to what is in dollars, but it anyway much cheaper than the tag price here in the United States. But this is the real price, the existing price in Finland. And you can check the tuition fee of program you wish to apply once again in the study info program description. Next, please. The other thing that I think is important to note that in addition to tuition fee, you are usually required to independently cover your everyday living cost. You need to show that you have the sufficient means of support and as well as insurance also. I already referred to that. And the monthly living expenses for students, including food, accommodation, travel, insurance, etc., are around 700 to 900 euros, which is approximately $1,000. But I think that it must be a little bit more in metropolitan area at the moment. Of course, depending on where you live and where your personal living habits are. And living costs typically are higher in large cities than in smaller ones. And when you apply the residence permit, the students can be granted this for 2 years. If you can prove that you have the sufficient financial resources for your entire stay in Finland. And this is the calculation from the immigration service authorities that you must have at least close to 600 euros at your disposal every month to be able to pay your accommodation, food, and other needs. And for 2 years stay, you must have close to 14,000 euros, which is close to $15,000 at your disposal. And once again, these are the information what I got from the immigration service. So this is the calculation, existing calculation. What is the situation now in Finland? And some educational institutions support their student residents in Finland. And that is also one option. Next. As regards accommodation, I used to live in student housing, student house, and that I would say that that would be most easiest way to start studying in Finland. And if you think that you want to hire an apartment from private market, you can do that. But I would recommend that you contact the Finnish Student Housing Limited, because there are houses, and it is my understanding, I might be mistaken some of the information, but if I look at the campus life here in United States, that would actually be a comfortable place to live and study. I mean the Finnish student campus, wherever they are. Next, please. The higher education institution offers scholarship for those bachelor and master level students, but we don't have a state level scholarship, especially for United States. We have a very active Fulbright program, but this is specific program for Fulbrighters. But in Finnish case, this is that the universities and universities applied sciences themselves provide the scholarships. And that was important when we introduced the system of tuition fee. Then we required or asked the universities to provide scholarships, because this was part of the package a couple of years ago when the system of tuition fee for those who come outside EU and ETA countries had to pay a fee. And most of the university scholarships only cover the tuition fee either for 100% or partially, but you should be prepared to cover your living expenses independently. Next, please. Permits. All non-EU ETA students need the student residence permit, which actually is the student visa for their studies in Finland. And you can start for student residence permit process only after you have officially admitted to University of Finland. I refer the letter that you will receive from the university. And when you have received that, you have to read the beginner's advice of applying, which is the information provided to you at the same time you receive the letter. And after you have seen the letter, you can begin the student residence permit application online, and that's important. You can use the Enter Finland FI. And remember that you must personally visit Finnish embassy or consulate. And if you are in country where there isn't Finnish embassy, unfortunately, you have to travel the country where there is a consulate. But that is not in the case in Finland, United States, because there are several consulates in Finland. So this is easier here in the United States. So it wouldn't be too difficult. And you can find detailed information and advice on the resident permit requirements of Finnish Immigration Service. This is something you have to remember. If you have something that you know more about the permits, you have to visit the webpage of the Finnish Immigration Service. We call it MIGRI. Next, please. This is something which is related to if you are not going to if you are going to stay more than 90 days in Finland. And this is always the case, but if you stay shorter time, then you do not need a residence permit. And if you come to Finland to carry out a part of your studies for a period up to 360 days, you need the residence permit for students. I think that this is relevant information for the citizens of United States in the sense that at least earlier the students or the young people from United States, they wanted to stay a shorter time in Finland. That was not the only way that you want to have a whole degree from Finland or other European country, but you want to visit several countries or get to know the system for the shorter period. And this is information that is those who want to spend more time in Finland. Next, please. As regards the postdoc research stipends and PhDs, in Finland, doctoral studies normally include academic research, work as a team member with paid salary. And usually the research team offering postdoc position has prepared funding for the available positions. If you have a master's degree and you are in contact of, let's say, University of Aalto, University of Eastern Finland, University of Helsinki, you will become a part of the research team, and then it's paid. You don't need to pay tuition fees. On doctoral level, tuition fees are not charged, regardless of your nationality, because usually the research team offer postdoc position, and on average, 30% of the junior researchers' postdoc positions on the Academy of Finland are held by foreign researchers. If you compare the number of foreign students in Finland in master and bachelor degree programs, as I told, it's approximately 8 or 9%. It's much higher in doctoral degree programs. It's almost third are from foreign countries. And there are university-specific PhD programs with salaried positions where you are expected to make your studies in 4 years. And that is the Finnish practice. And it should be actually 4 years only, the salary. Next, please. Yes, set up a company in Finland. I would say that Finland is nowadays very competitive and good place to set up the business of your own. It's excellent test bed for innovative, ambitious startup teams and a great place to scale your business globally as Finland has one of the highest rates of investment per capita in Europe. And it's a vibrant and friendly startup ecosystem with accelerators, angel investors, and also strong innovation support by the government, which is also important. We have a strong research, or actually very comprehensive research infrastructure and different kind of support for those who want to set up a business of their own. And compared to Finland and some other countries, perhaps we are not a little lacking behind behind the United States, but there is actually very little red tape bureaucracy in Finland. That comes out whenever you scrutinize, whenever you look at the international comparison. And capital Helsinki ranks number one in world in local connectedness among founders, investors, and experts. A great array of established networking events are already a very essential part of the entrepreneurship culture in Finland. I'm quite sure that such as Slush are very well known everywhere, that meet the investors and pitch ideas. I think that next please, I almost covered my all the themes and topics what I wanted to share with you. But just very reminder that in my mind, those are the 4 steps for those who want to set up a company in Finland. First of all, familiarize yourself with permits and registration. We already covered that, but there are different peculiarities or different details as far that are related to the business. And the next step is to decide on where in Finland you want to live and get familiar with the communities and social network. It's not only the metropolitan area. There are a lot of options and possibilities in Eastern Finland, in Northern Finland. For example, Oulu is a flourishing technological environment, ICT environment, mobile technology environment. There is very strong focus on research and entrepreneurship related to universities, for example, in the mid-Finland, in Jyväskylä, which is actually basically almost only a student town. It's just a town for students and young entrepreneurs. And there are a lot of places what you can choose. So this is not only the metropolitan area, but of course, metropolitan area, Helsinki, Vantaa, Espoo, they are the strongest at the moment. The Tampere area is growing very rapidly, and part of that explanation of that there is a new university. It's a merger of Tampere University of Technology and Tampere University. And if you establish your own company, remember, register your business, open a corporate bank account, get insurance, and find accountant services, etc. And the 4th step is when developing your businesses, you should get to know the funding options from the Business Finland and other funding sources in Finland, because they are very flexible for those who start their business, the business of their own. And if your business is knowledge intensive or research intensive, then there are choices for your business. I think that I covered my presentation. There is one more, and this is about the conscription. We have a very strong conscription army, but it's only for you. If you are a dual citizen, you can be exempt from the compulsory military service. According to agreement between Finland and the United States, a person holding a dual Finnish-American citizenship living permanently in the United States is not liable to perform compulsory military service in Finland. But if you may, however, that is possible, but then you have to be in contact and check with the Ministry of Defense, and there are links to the relevant information sources as regards to conscription. Now I think that is the time to say thank you.
Yeah. So this concludes our presentation today. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function to send them in now. And I'm sure that there are questions also for dual citizens. Some of these didn't apply because it's easier for permit issues and so on and so forth. But don't hesitate to ask any kind of questions that you may have. This is a great opportunity. So Maria, can you start going through the questions?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Let's see here. We have a few questions. Andrea is wondering at the end, can you quickly go over applying for postgraduate degrees? I have a master's and I'm looking for information on doctoral degrees in business and marketing.
We can go back to the, I don't remember okay, it's here. I think that the best way to get to know the what are available, what kind of program is, you have to go to the webpage of the universities. When I went through the study info, which is the general information, I noticed that you actually need to go to the webpage of the universities. If you are interested to study in University of Helsinki, University of Aalto, the best way is to go directly to the webpage of universities. I think that there are very little formalities in the sense that if you have the master's degree, you are eligible to doctorate degree programs. But it's important you find your own program, what is suitable, what is relevant for you, and what is suitable for you. And I found out that in those web pages of universities, there are also linked to the funding resources, and they tell you if this doctor program includes some funding, for example, from the Academy of Finland. So that is the most handy way to go directly to the university webpage. But if I can answer if you have something specific, some kind of program or research area what you are interested, I can perhaps try to be more specific, if that's possible. If there
she did say, I'm sorry, she said that business and marketing in this question that would be, I guess,
business and marketing. I would say that you should go directly to the webpage of University of Aalto, because this is something they have. Most of the English programs that they have a variety of English programs in English. You should go to Aalto, but look also the University of Turku and University of Jyväskylä. This is if my memory serves me well, they have a lot of provisions in those areas. There are other universities, they have also doctoral programs there. But I would start with Aalto.
Thank you. Next we have, so you might have already somewhat covered, but what if you have dual citizenship? Do you need any resident permits or whatever?
Yeah, basically it's the same, because the residence permit is if you are going to live there in Finland more than 90 days, then you have to go and you need the visa or the student visa depending, or working visa depending, working permit depending on what are you going to do. Because there are a bit different permits depending on whether you are going to study or work in Finland. I think that I have also links to those who want to work in Finland. Because
what about if you have dual citizenship, like you have a Finnish citizenship already, so then you do not need these permits. You will just show your passport or whatever it is.
But I would still recommend to look at the web page, because there is something that you are sure that when you enter into Finland that everything is okay. That is my very personal experience, because when I have been discussed with this is not the case in the United States, but there are other countries, young people who have dual citizenship, they've been a bit critical that there are some obstacles and they didn't know when they entered into Finland. Therefore, I recommend to look at that.
Isn't there, I'm sorry if I, for my own clarification, Isn't there one of the obstacles being so that you be considered part of the system, like when you don't live there? Is that part of it, like for the being in the Kela system, just in general? Is it part of that? Just that's the obstacle, or?
Yeah, I think that I understand the question, because this is the social security system. It's different, and if you are not registered the Finnish social security system, there might be some gaps in your social security network. That might be a part of that, because when you enter into Finland, you should have a social security network supporting whatever you do. I mean, the insurance system, that might be the one, because I have noticed that here in United States, because I'm not registered at the United States system, there are some not obstacles but challenges if you do something that is related to healthcare or social security system. But there shouldn't be any problem. But I want to be sure that if you are in contact in Finland, that everything goes well. Therefore, I just suggest that I recommend to be in contact before you go.
Thank you. So then we have, if I were to receive my bachelor's degree in a science field, then work in a science field for 2 years after, can I apply for a master's in education to teach science, or does the work experience must be in the field of study of the master's?
No, it's only the 2 years. The idea was that because the degree from University of Applied Science is more related to working life and the surrounding society, that there should be some difference between the labor market working life oriented degree and university research oriented degree. And that's the only, it doesn't need, it depend on what the subject area was there. The only requirement, and it must be 2 years. So that I think that would be suitable for in your case, that you can start the master degree because you have the 2 years experience.
Thank you.
The substance is not the call.
Okay. This one's in Finnish. I'll read it in Finnish and then English. Koskeeko lukukausimaksut myös EU-alueen ulkopuolella asuvaa Suomen kansalaista?
In my understanding, no, because if you have the citizenships, it is then you are Finnish, or you are in a way EU citizen or Finnish citizen, then you don't need to pay the tuition fee.
And so that's basically just about the tuition fees for if you are a Finnish citizen living outside of the EU, yeah. Is the question. Okay, so then we have SAT scores have been previously used for applications. Now tests have been canceled due to COVID-19 and student may not have an SAT score. How will this be replaced in requirements when applying for bachelor's studies?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because when I was looking at the changes in our system during the COVID and because of the COVID, this was one of the things that I was willing to scrutinize, and I don't have the answer directly now, because there was some information from the University's Applied Sciences, and that was related to the time of the application period, but I couldn't find information that would answer to your questions directly now, because I unfortunately I do not know. I can check it later. I can come back to that.
And then there's a quick question: will this presentation be a PDF for clicking on links? We will be sending this presentation, the PDF. However, I don't think it has live links in it, or maybe.
Is it possible to send in the form that they can open up the links? Because if it's PD, you cannot open the links, because I thought when I was preparing the presentation, I wanted in a way to share directly the link, but it's very much up to your Finland Foundation to decide that. But for me, it's okay if you can use the form.
Live links.
Yeah, lively.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that they work then before we send it out.
You can check it.
Yeah. Okay. If a student has 12 grades of school in the US, do they need to attend a I guess she's saying baccalaureate school? Not sure if that's the right term. Or will their high school diploma count? Or do they take SAT or something? So I guess this is for American high school students.
Yeah, I think that the 12 years of education is enough. Because there was the idea that it must, in comparison to Finnish system, but this is also one thing you have to check, because there might be differences depending on the universities. Because in the Finnish system, the universities and universities of applied science, they have a lot of autonomy, and they tend to define themselves the entrance, the requirements. So that has actually the Finnish system. It's based on numerous clauses, and it's very competitive. Therefore, I would recommend that you check that. But in principle, that should be possible, but check from the university.
Okay. So this is, again, back to the citizenship aspect, but for a student with dual Finnish US citizenship who has only ever lived in the US, do the guidelines for residence permits and tuition change? I know you kind of touched on that, but it's that same.
I don't think that there's any difference between those who have been living in the United States. It doesn't matter, because there is no need that you have been in Finland, because anyway you have the dual citizenship, and that's the most important thing.
Okay, so then is anything different if they want to attend school on the Åland Islands?
Basically, all the systems are the same, but the Åland Island, it has also the strong autonomy, and the language issues might be a bit different, because there is always the Swedish, there are the Swedish-speaking Finns, and you have to check because of the autonomy of Åland. When I was preparing my presentation, I noticed that some of the practicalities are very much related directly to Swedish language, and that therefore you have to check it, because there is a lot of requirements that are related that everybody basically should learn Swedish, and the services are in Swedish. Of course, in Finland, because we have two official languages, there are services in Finland too, but there are services and information that is only in Swedish. I noticed that when I went through the information.
Thank you. Okay, hello. I have recently relocated from California to, I think she's saying Uusimaa region. Is it expensive to start a business? For small business here, I am a dual citizen.
There is no big difference between, there's a little, not that much difference as, for example, in the United States, if you compare the Silicon Valley or some other, or the Boston area or some other rural areas in the United States. There are not that much of difference in Finland, but anyway, Uusimaa, the metropolitan area, is the most expensive area in Finland, but it's for living cost. I wouldn't say that it's more expensive to establish a business, because this is a big difference, but the living costs are higher in the Uusimaa area. So you have to take that in the account.
Do you happen to know about any of the filing fees for business, what those might cost just to start a business? That's my own question.
Unfortunately, I don't know. But this is something you have to look at the links that I provided, because this is something. There are so many little things that are related. I used to be an entrepreneur myself 7 years, but this is 30 years ago. So, unfortunately I cannot provide that. That would be handy.
Yeah, but that's probably not too difficult to find out. They're pretty good at giving all this information. So anyone interested can go look. Do you have guidance for Finnish nationals growing up in the USA?
From what perspective?
She doesn't specify, but since we're talking education.
Yeah, I can. No, I think that for to begin with that it's a very versatile system, and as I perhaps told in my first presentation, that whatever is, there are so high level research in all areas, and there are excellent schools and excellent universities. It very much depends on where you live. So that in some of the areas in the United States, living and working and studying can be challenging. But some other areas, it's more of the very easy, and this is very comfortable and friendly environment. And this is not that much a difference if you compare Finland to Massachusetts, or Finland to some of the most advanced areas. So it would be very easy, and the natural environment would be almost the same if you go to Michigan, Maine, Minnesota, etc. So that what I would say that you should come to United States. I recommend to come here and study here, and this is experimenting. It's a trial. But very much it depends where you live. You know it better than I know. Because the schools are good there where there are more, where the taxes allow a good school, and there are a lot of differences because the tax system is so different here in the United States. The social security network is different here in the United States. But people are the most important everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so okay then. So this is again also with the citizenship thing. As a dual citizen of Finland and the US, would I be counted as an EU citizen and be exempted from paying tuition, or would I pay tuition since I am a US citizen?
If it's a dual citizen, it means that you don't need to pay the tuition.
Okay, that was simple enough. I'm a middle-aged American man with Finnish background, and I am interested in pursuing a master's degree in Finland. Is that practical? Will I be discriminated against my age?
Oh, I don't think so. Because this is the whole idea now. When I told in my first presentation is that we are emphasizing the importance of lifelong learning. Nowadays we call it continuous learning. There is no difference, but we use that concept. So that we want to be very supportive adult learners, and there is a lot of options for adult learners, not only degrees, but also different type of shorter courses, shorter degrees. But I think that it would be very friendly environment for adult learners actually at the moment, because the policy, the ideology is supportive for lifelong learning, adult learning. But also that what I would look like that would scrutinize is that there is now a strong emphasis of in Finland we call it ahot. It's recognition of prior learning. So that if you have some documents, what you have done, if you have a working experience, etc., you can provide those documents, because then the university or university applied science then recognize part of your experience as the part of your degree, because this is something what we want to encourage the universities to do. And I would say if I were an adult student, I would go to Finland to study the degree there.
All right. When you say the tuition cost, is that per course, or how is that rate determined?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Student.
How the tuition? How do they determine how tuition is paid? Is it by per course, or?
It is the one per half month, half year, or the total study year. But it depends on the university. I think that this is that there are also options for monthly pay, but this is my understanding. But there are differences between universities. You should scrutinize, look at the webpage and look at what is the practice in different, because there are differences between universities.
Okay. And then you've touched on the SAT, but is SAT required for all Finnish universities from American high school?
SAT?
SAT.
SAT, that's the standardized test to finish the high school.
Oh, yeah. There are two. Yeah, no. There are two, basically two types of standardized tests here. Yeah. That is my understanding, and that is handy. It's possible, but once again, I go back to the autonomy of universities because they themselves decide what they take in the account, and there can be variation between universities. But that is the point of departure, in my understanding. If you have that, you can use that because it shows that what you have learned, because it's the national level standardized test. That's normally the case, but there might be other ways to do that, other options to show that you have learned something and you are eligible to higher education studies or degree programs.
Okay. Then we have, from what countries are most of the international students?
New Zealand is number one. Australia used to be number two, but now because of the Covet, there is a drop in the number of the international students in both of those countries. UK is very attractive. In Europe, France and UK, of course, UK has been, because of the language, UK is very attractive. And the percentage of foreign students varies. The European average would be, Finland is because Finland is a little above the average. Average must be somewhere in 6% or 7%. But in New Zealand, it was a couple of years ago, 28% or so, and it's very high in UK and Australia too. I don't remember by heart the numbers, but those are the most attractive. And if you look at what is happening now, Germany is developing very strongly now because they have also a lot of English language degree programs, and Germany is a very solid, very advanced technology country. But those English, Anglo-Saxon countries has been the most popular as a target of for international students.
Well, are you saying Finns going to these countries? The question I think was from which countries coming to Finland? Where do we have the most students? But that was good information too to know.
Sorry, I apologize, my misunderstanding. But anyway, that in Finland. It's the closest country, like in United, or as in the United States, the Chinese students, it's perhaps the biggest group. There are from Vietnam in Finland. There are, if my memory serves me, is from Estonia and Sweden and the Nordic countries. Not that much of from United States is less than 500 per year, and Finnish students in United States is close to the same number. I would say that is close to 500 from the United States and several thousands from China.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. And so I was a top expert in my field of horticulture and sustainability. However, I have not yet figured out how to find a job in this area with my specialty because it is not common. Do you have any comments to say for this?
Unfortunately, I don't know, but looking at what is happening in Finland and what kind of new courses and degree programs are there, they are all related. Very many of those are related to sustainable development and green growth, etc. So that I would imagine that there are increasing number of options for you with those your background. But unfortunately, I cannot provide any numbers. But this is something what is happening not only in Finland, everywhere in the world. When you have that kind of background, I would say that there are more options than they used to be 5 years ago. That's my understanding, layman's understanding, I would say.
And here in the US, I believe we definitely have opportunities in this field because it's such a big country and a lot of investment in those areas. And Neste is doing a lot here too, but that's a sidebar. I have a friend at Neste doing some interesting sustainability work. So there's just a question that says digital marketing. I'm not sure exactly what the question is.
Hi, but as regards digitalization, I would say that Finland is one of the most advanced country in that, and because I was so proud when I was telling that there is a good infrastructure, also including digital services, that Estonia might be the best, whatever it's related to digitalization in Europe, but Finland is close to the top. So, but I don't know how well it works in marketing. But if you have the infrastructure, I think that it goes to the marketing too. It's available there. That's my understanding.
Okay. When can a dual citizen start receiving student allowance, opintotuki, for bachelor studies? From the beginning of is it from the beginning of the first year of the studies?
Yeah, it's from the beginning, because my daughter study in the University of Helsinki. I have some knowledge of that. It's some subsidy per month, so that I think that it's very soon when you have entered when you have started your degree program. That's my understanding. It's every month you will have money from public sector to your account, because this is something I want to control what my daughter do with the money. Actually, she allowed me to do that because she do not want to spend the first day all the money what is available and buy shoes.
That's actually interesting that I don't know how many of our attendees are aware that in Finland, students do get this government payment every month.
Yeah. But if there is a requirement that you should have enough credits, or we call it credits, so you have to advance in your studies, and it is something like that. The basic idea that you should finalize your master degree, for example, in 5 years, and if you do not progress in your studies, you cannot have that benefits. There's the basic benefits for it's for everyone, but you have to follow your study plan and advance in your studies in order to get that money from the public purse, taxpayers' money from the public purse. So there is a control.
That might be good to have that. But okay, my nephew lives in the States, but has both a US and Irish passport. Are there any benefits to his Irish citizenship because of the EU connection? He will be applying for a bachelor's degree program. Kiitos.
That's difficult. I don't know that, but that is some kind of thing that you have to study, because it would be interesting to hear the answer. What do they regard if you have a EU citizenship because you're an Irish? Is there any benefits for you? But unfortunately, this is a new case to me.
Okay. Okay, so hello. Thank you so much for the presentation. It helped with the setup and what to do first when preparing for studies. I'm a master's student and I'm looking to continue into medical school in Finland. Are there any schools that offer a physician's program while teaching in English? My initial searches seem to reveal all these programs are in Finnish.
Doctor programs, doctor degree programs, they should be, because I would say that almost the majority of those are nowadays in English. Because if you go, for example, in University of Turku, University of Tampere, University of Helsinki, and University of Oulu, they provide courses in those subject areas. So perhaps once again, I didn't understand, I misunderstood the question, but they should be. I think that if you have a master's degree, because if you go to higher level, the provision in English, there is more than that. But as regards the professions in the field of medicine, there are a lot of requirements that are related to practice. If you are going to practice in Finland, there might be, because this is the the degrees in medicine, for example, they are professional degrees, and there are different requirements compared to degrees, PhD degrees in some other areas, because there is the professions that explains that. Therefore, perhaps you should check what is, is it something that is related, that if you want to practice practice in the field of medicine, you have to have some understanding of the official languages, for example. And that might explain why there is a lot of substance in Finnish or Swedish. That is my understanding. But basically, it should be more English in those doctoral degree programs.
Okay, so and speaking of well, are classes for the doctoral degree offered remotely, completely, or partially?
At the moment, I mean, that is something related to pandemic, or?
Well, how about, like, well, during the pandemic is one thing, but would you be able to study remotely from here in Finland if you?
That's something you have to check from the university, because I do not know what kind of courses they have. They have increased the number of digital or distance learning type of or MOOCs, but the number of those hasn't increased such rapidly that was anticipated a couple of years ago. That is the same situation everywhere, because very many of the degree programs, they demand your presence, that you do the work, experimental work, that you are in the placement when you have the contact learning system in there. So that's my understanding, that it hasn't increased as rapidly as was anticipated. So this is something, once again, that you have to check.
Okay. Do you know where doctoral degrees in early education and care are most well known?
I don't know what is most well known, but I would say that once again, University of Jyväskylä, they have a strong education. The education is one of the main subject areas in University of Jyväskylä, but I know that they are very good and active also in University of Turku. And of course, almost everything is available in University of Helsinki. But I wouldn't, perhaps my main point is that there is not that big difference between Finnish universities if you compare the Finnish university system, the US university system. Everywhere, the education is almost the same, the quality of the education almost the same, but they have different profiles. You have to look at the profiles. There are a bit different profiles in different universities. And if you are interested in top research, then you have to look at what is the position in rankings, and what is the position in terms of applications, citation, etc. But basically, the education is very high level in those areas everywhere in Finnish universities. So very little difference. Depends on what kind of substance and what kind of profile you are interested in.
Okay. Currently, in this time of COVID-19, are the universities in session, and are the universities in person, basically?
That there has been a change, because basically they are in. It's not that much of distance learning, because it was Finland at the beginning. There was an idea that we should avoid the gap in learning and provide as much as is possible and safe normal type of learning instead of distance learning. But I have noticed that there has been a change because of the continuing pandemic, that there are ever more provisions, distance learning type of provisions. That is increasing. And they have cancelled some of the courses. This is happening in Finland too, not only here in the United States and some or everywhere else. That is happening in Finland. But the main idea was that provide the traditional type of education. and we try to maintain that, but it depends very much on the COVID situation in COVID.
Okay, and another person is asking about if this presentation will be made public, and the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And another person asks to get this presentation emailed, and the answer to that is yes. So both this video will be made public, and the PD will make the PDF with the links as well. And then we have, yeah, so somebody's excited about this to be able to get this presentation. And then, okay, so this is about the work a little bit more, but I have found in order to work here in the I'm not sure if here means, I mean, I'm guessing it means here, although this was the person talking about difficulty finding work in her field in Finland. So I'm not sure which one that is, but I found in order to work here, I had to have a letter from former employer that I quit my job on my own will. I don't know if that's something.
Unfortunately, I don't. But this is something that I just now scrutinizing my notes whether I have anything related to the that type of question. I don't have information in my notes. Unfortunately, I could not answer to that. But once again, I would want to stress that if you look at first the links what I provided, and then go to the links that the Ministry of Employment and the Economy, it's a labor dealing with the labor affairs, they have the best information related to working in Finland. But the change in Finnish labor market and requirements there, there are now more active approach to encouraging people to go to work in Finland because of the shortage of the expertise in certain areas. It depends very much of the areas, because it's more rapid to have this permission process if you are working for, if your background is, for example, ICT or artificial intelligence, or areas that where we have in Finland shortage of labor force. So that this is this particular case I cannot answer, but you have to look at, and they look at the background of you, what kind of experience you have.
Okay, and so this is another COVID related. How has the closures from COVID-19 affected businesses and therefore the economy in Finland? Do you happen to know?
It had affected, but looking at the statistic, it was not that bad we expected or we were afraid of. Finland has somehow managed to do quite well in terms of economy, but it was because of the rapid decisions in the government and the business life when we decided to close the border and control the transmission of the pandemic. And so there were rapid decisions, and the closure in Finland was shorter than somewhere else. So that the drop in Finland was less than almost any other European countries. We survived quite well, but if this continues, you never know, because this is also related to industrial structure. If it's possible to distant work, then the impact is not that strong. And I think that Finland, the industrial structure supports the survival in the sense that we have strong, for example, ICT sector. People are working in the sector. But if you have a strong service sector, as in the United States, the hit is harder. We don't have that broad service sector. Finland is we are makers like in Japan, Germany, and Sweden. It's engineering country.
Thank you. One of our trustees, Hanna Wagner, is answering this question about the dual nationals. She says that dual nationals can always return, but they do not enter the system until they have registered in the system, which may require a stay for more than 6 months.
Okay.
However, here's somebody else responding in Finnish saying that their daughter started studying in Tampere last fall and did the move, like the notice of moving through Digi. I guess that's the Finnish system to do that. And the next day she was in Kela, and she's a dual citizen. So any thoughts on these comments?
Unfortunately, this is something, this moves a bit away from my best knowledge, so that I cannot comment. But this is something which is important anyway, and I think that the first comment or the answer to the question sounds very sound. So this is my understanding. It was a good answer to that question.
Okay, so then, once you have a master's degree, is there a path to get Finnish citizenship?
This is, I don't know if does it any relation to that citizenship issue, but I know that it helps if you want to enter into labor market in Finland, but the citizen issue is a bit different. I do not know the details how it works.
Finland does not seem to issue birth certificates, but the online site seems to require people to have a special identity code to get a verification of birth information. For someone who needs to document birth info of a grandparent for dual citizenship, can you explain this identity number and how someone who isn't already a citizen can get one?
I can explain the identity number because it's something which is essential in Finland, and it helps everything, because if you have the identity number, you are in registered everything that is public, that every services are in a way connected, the social services, whatever there is connected to the identity number. But I do not know how if you come from a foreign country, how this registration happens, because then you need to be a Finnish citizen. And for example, if you want to apply the Finnish citizenship, there must be some kind of transition period, because it takes time, because you cannot have it the Finnish identity number if you're not a Finnish citizen. So you have a separate system there.
Okay. Is there any benefit to have Finnish citizenship, dual citizenship, in postgraduate studies?
I don't know. It's not directly. Besides that, because there is no tuition fee in doctor's program, so that I don't know whether this is something. If there might be some services, but I think that basically they are same for everyone who are studying the doctor's degree program, for example. I cannot figure out what would be the main benefit if we are talking about the doctor degree program, because everybody who are in that program can have the same services.
Okay, good to realize that, actually. If a US student homeschooled but then passed the state graduation requirements and received a high school diploma, would Finnish university application process consider such a student? Would they need to take some US college courses first?
Once again, I have to go back to my basic answer is that it's up to the university to decide, because they have the requirements. That I don't see why the homeschooling would be something which makes it different if you have some kind of certificate from the United States that the Finnish authorities can compare. But it depends on what kind. I know that if you don't have the national test, that makes a difference. But if there is some documents that you have received some level of knowledge and skills, then it should be possible. But this is once again up to the universities to decide that.
Is health insurance covered when in Finland, or do we need to provide it do we need to provide for it on our end?
I mean that the Finnish system healthcare.
Americans, if they go to Finland to study, are they covered in the Finnish system of healthcare, or do they need to have some kind of insurance?
Basically, there are something that are meant to serve the students when they study in Finland. But when in my presentation, there is a link to the webpage that explains what kind of insurance you need to have in Finland, because this is not covered for everything. There are something that are meant to students only. Then you have to check what kind of other insurance you possibly need to have. Because if you are not a citizen, you don't have those provisions that belong to every citizen. But if you are a student, students might have some benefits because of the status of the students.
Okay. As a dual citizen, if you are enrolled at an American university full-time as an undergraduate and you want to study abroad for a semester in Finland, could I enroll as a Finnish citizen for that semester?
I think that we covered that because it's the same case again, that if you have dual, you have some.
Yeah, you can
go. That you are counted as a Finnish citizen.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is. I think that all that type of questions are the basic answer is that you are regarded as a Finnish citizen if you have a dual citizenship. Then you have the benefits of Finnish citizen.
Mm-hmm. And then this is just with a student visa in Finland, can we travel around the EU? And I can already say that yes, right? I mean, because it's part of the EU.
True. That is true. That is the one. That is the benefits of the EU citizenship.
A number of years ago, Finland offered a special program of dual citizen. Why can't I say citizen? Of dual citizenship to Americans with 2 Finland-born grandparents. Is this still available?
I don't know, because I tried to check whether we have something special for United States, and there is very little besides the Fulbright program. And that has been one of my efforts has been that we should have something special also for those who come from the United States. But in my understanding, I haven't recognized that. I even didn't know that there was such a program.
Oh, just to
there are very little special program for US.
No, it was basically that if you have grandparents that were born in Finland, you could become a citizen. I think that's what they're asking.
Can I chime in a little bit on this one? Next week, we are going to have a presentation with the Consulate General of Finland in New York, and we will be actually touching lots of dual citizenship questions then. So that's on January 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So registrations will go out tomorrow. So I think that you will get ready for those and join us next week for all the dual citizenship questions, especially about the grandparents. I can give them a little bit of guidance ahead of time that these questions are coming.
Thanks for that. That's great, actually. I think that'll be helpful
for this.
Yes,
I must confess, I'm not an expert at dual citizenships, and I should have prepared better. But my focus was so much on the studies and higher education, so that I'm not, unfortunately, but I'm happy that you have that option to learn more about that.
Yeah, let's leave the door open for them, and they can chime in their own specialty.
Yeah, and I think the reason they're asking is because they are so excited about the opportunity to go study in Finland after hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
Now they're starting to dust off their citizenships to see.
I hope so. It's a good place to study and live. And I also, as I said, that also to set up of the business, it's better than that many people understand. And it's better because there has been a change in the mindset that Finland actually is very entrepreneurial, very supportive to entrepreneurship. And this is something what is different that was when I was young. At that time, everybody wanted to go to work for the big companies or public sector instead of establishing or setting up a business of their own. But now the young people, the clever young people, see that also an option to do something in that. And therefore, I want to advertise Finland as a good place to work and make business too.
And on that note, do the universities have a certain amount of slots saved for foreign nationals? You know, those who, because people do want to go there.
Yeah,
clearly.
But the one explanation was that because of the problems during the global recession after 2008, there was very big problems in ICT sector, but there was a lot of talent. They wanted the business because of the problems in big business. They wanted the business set up for the business of their own to survive, and that was one explanation why it was flourishing already at that time, and now it's improving all the time.
But do they have a certain amount of slots saved for foreign nationals? Do they so like quotas, for example? How many people need to be accepted from other countries?
I don't know that figures. I don't know, but it's increasing anyway. I know that much that increasing. For example, the metropolitan area, you can see by your eyes that it's change of the color of the people, because Finland used to be very white. It's not anymore, because of the young people of everywhere in the world are working, want to do together something and save the world.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's also important that there is an ethical aspect. When they do something, they want to do it ethically right.
That's very true. Can you recommend any full-time short courses, 2 or 3 months in Finland, for learning some Finnish in the months before starting a university program in Finland, maybe called folkskool? I think this might be the kansanopisto.
Yeah, that folkskool is that, but we used to have in all universities, we call them language center. Now it's I don't remember the name of that, but they have special courses for foreigners, and that basically every university have I call it language center, but it must have it's something like related to services, etc. But they have, and you should look at I don't know any particular courses, but every university basically have also short courses or couple of months courses for those who come from foreign countries. Because this is something what we have noticed, that it is difficult to adapt in Finnish society if you don't have the minimum knowledge, at least some of the main concept. And therefore, this is something we have invested new resources for this type of activities. And this is part of the idea, welcome to Finland. But unfortunately, I do not know the details, but this is very important aspect. And I'm happy that you asked that.
That is very good to know. Do international students in Finland find jobs in Finland after graduation?
I don't have statistics. It could be better, but it depends very much of what the subject area you have studied. I have learned, of course, I mentioned many times that everything that is related to digitalization is attractive, but also in health sector, there are possibilities of people and construction sector. You should look at the subject areas, because there are available information from the Ministry of Employment and the Economy. They have a net page where they provide this kind of information, so that the information is available, but I do not know what are the most attractive sectors at the moment.
And in that vein, there's a question: does Finland want you to stay in Finland after receiving a higher degree?
That is something what we really want. I want to be honest with you. The problem is the same as it's It is also now in the United States. It was in Japan, it's Germany. Aging population. We want to attract, we want to provide good learning and working environments in Finland because the population is aging and we all want to attract the talent. And this is why we want to attract students also from the United States. Of course, we want to cooperate, but this is also that we need young people to work in Finland.
Very good to know. Is it possible to be able to afford studying for PhD in Jyväskylä and live in Finland? Are there stipends that would also pay for housing and living expenses?
The information from my, what I got from the study in Finland was that depends on the university. I don't know whether they have in Jyväskylä that kind of whether it covers the stipends and scholarships covers that type of cost. You have to look at, I don't know, because there was not direct information from every university. I should have looked every university and University of Applied Sciences. I don't know whether it's Jyväskylä available. But once again, you can look at the webpage of the university and check whether that's the case in Jyväskylä.
Okay, so here's for any US student to be able to attend a Finnish university, the Finnish school must have an EIN ID number assigned so that the scholarship and any associated financial actions can be addressed. Where are EIN IDs posted or made available? FAFSA does not currently list any Finnish school, making US students unable to attend. Please advise if there is an effort in place or an office you would address this aspect. I don't know if you know anything about this.
I have in front of me. Let me see. This is if I can find the email. I think that this the Finnish Immigration Service would have that information, but I'm not 100% sure. But this is in my notes.
Okay, yeah, so I guess they don't show up in that FAFSA as is. So maybe you talk to the people at the embassy to see if something.
When they mention EIN usually it's kind of like employer identification number.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what this person is referring to?
That's what she's saying. The Finnish school must have an EIN ID number assigned so that the scholarship and any associated financial actions can be addressed. But is the EIN kind of like an American thing though? I don't know if they even call it that.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Because that might be the reason, because with the FAFSA form, I do know this because I have college kids myself. They when you go to apply the schools that you're going for, like they pop up and then you select from there. I'm assuming this is what she's talking about, but maybe there's a way to enter it in manually if you have that EIN number. However, because it's an American thing, I don't know if that's even.
Yeah, because all American universities, American companies, they have the EIN number, but foreign companies, unless they are registered here or with universities, EIN is numerically it's a US thing.
Yeah, so I guess maybe I don't know how to address this particular question. Maybe this is something we'll keep and maybe find an answer to respond in the follow-up.
Yeah, that would be the
Perfect.
Okay.
We can check it.
Okay, well, we have a couple more questions and we've gone over time, but we still have quite a number of people who have stayed, which is very nice. What is demand in Finland for other languages such as French?
Amount.
What is the demand? How much is their demand?
Yeah, not that much. I think that English is the language everybody basically under my age, not in my age, but they can speak fluently English and they use it. French is not that, very seldom you need that, because my daughter, she speaks French because we lived in France, in Paris and Brussels, but she hasn't had a lot of use of that language because there is very little places where she can utilize or exploit her knowledge. So that would be the case. And even to Germany, we used to have the first foreign language in my generation was German language. Therefore, I don't speak fluently English. And that the second language was English. But nowadays, almost everybody at the upper secondary, even the primary school and upper secondary school, they learn English. And it's unfortunate that so little percentage are those who learn French, German, or China, or some other languages. And this is now a pressure that they should also take courses on those languages. But English is everywhere in Finland, especially younger generation.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the final question. There are a couple comments that I'll say at the end because they're very nice. So do universities in Finland offer tours for potential students like they do here in the US? Or how would you recommend students learn about the campuses? Can you self-visit campus during summer?
That is something what we want to develop, because this is Talent Boost. This is a new instrument that are maintained together with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Employment and the Economy and the Business Finland. They have tried to build up a Talent Boost concept, and part of that would be that kind of activities, for example, tours. I don't know what is the provision now, what kind of tours they have, but I think that this is something what we should organize together with all the players in the field. For example, together with the Fulbright Foundation and universities themselves. Because the university drafted a new internationalization program, and part of that is that we have to provide that type of activities if we want to attract. They might already have it, but this is something which is new for us. We haven't organized that type of one. But I think that this was an important question, and it encourages us to develop that kind of services. Therefore, I like that question. But this is something that they promised to do. Let's see whether they have that provision already now.
Okay, so now we only have some comments, and I'll read them here at the end. So from our old trustee, Hillary Virtanen, I must go, but thank you for this webinar. This information will help me advise my students in graduate studies possibilities in Finland. And then we have both of these webinars have been very, very helpful and informative. Thank you so much for such excellent presentations. We've looked online, but you have filled in many areas we weren't clear about. And then finally, kiitos paljon. This was a really helpful presentation.
Thank you for all of you. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So I want to start now. A big thanks to our audience for participating. It has been, again, another webinar with active questions and challenging questions, which is always good. It's good to have the interaction. And then Ilkka, thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us, as well as Embassy of Finland for lending your time. This two-part series has been great. It has been our first one, and personally, I feel that it has been quite successful. And again, we will continue, as I said earlier, next Tuesday on January 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We will continue this information sharing programming. We will be hearing from Consulate General of Finland in New York. They will cover topics on consulate services for Finns, as well as certain dual citizenship related issues. So as I said, registration information will go out tomorrow, and we really hope that you will join us again, and remember to register and tell your friends. So I personally want to thank you all, and and wish you a great evening and the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.